So continuing on from yesterday, these are just the last two problems from yesterday's notes. Everything is the same about the notes today, except for we're only doing the last two, and then the problems that you're going to do for homework are the second half of them. Okay, so let's start, because we know that we have to work in parentheses first. Can I add these together? Why not? Right, those radicals are not the same. So they're not the same at all. So what is my next option then to do? Okay, so I'm going to distribute. So I'm going to do this. And what happens when I distribute? What do I get for the first distribution? Like this? Squared. Okay, and then what do I get for the second distribution? Okay, so we get 12w to the fourth. Now we're just going to break these down like we've always known how to do. So for this, again, you don't have to pull these apart, but I found it so much easier just to break these apart into two things, the actual number portion and the variable portion. Let's break down the 18 first. How do I break down 18? Okay, so we get the square root of 9 times the square root of 2. And which one of those do I know the square root of? 9. Okay, so the square root of 9 is? Okay, so this is 3 square root of 2. That's what this all becomes there. So now we're going to take the square root of w squared. Let's break that down into a w and a w. And what can I pull out? Right, I've got two of them. And remember, I need 2 to be able to pull it out. So I've got a w that comes out. So this first part here ends up as 3w times the square root of 2. That's the first part. That's just this here simplifies down to this. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to separate the 12 from the w to the fourth power. Again, you can pick whatever numbers you want for 12, but some numbers are smarter than others. Actually, 6 and 2 are not the ones I would choose because they were my first thought. But why would I choose 4 and 3 over 6 and 2? Because we know the square root of 4. It's a perfect square. So of 4 and 3, which do I know the square root of? And the square root of 4 is 2. So we get 2 square root of 3. And let's break this down into w squared and w squared. Do I have 2 of something that I can pull out? Yes, so I'm going to pull out a w squared. So now I've got 2w squared times the square root of w. Oh, 3. I'm so sorry. Yes, I don't know why I did that. Times the square root of 3. It is kind of like a sideways w, so maybe that's what I was thinking. So, okay, so we're here. We've got 3w square root of 2 plus 2w squared square root of 3. How do I add those two things together? You don't. Right there, we cannot add them together because their radicals are different. If you have different radicals, we can't add them together. So we just leave it there. Okay, the last one looks very intimidating. It's actually not. It's just, there's 3 separate things, so it takes a little bit of work. Okay, so what I'm going to do is the same things that I've always done. I'm going to go here and I'm going to go, okay, well, I've got this square root of 10a, and I see this 5 square root of 5a over 2, but it's actually this last one that I want to deal with first. What am I going to do with this right here? Good, we're going to break it up into the top and bottom there, so just like that. Now, what do you think is the next thing that I'm looking at that I really hate about this? Yeah, so those denominators being radicals. Now, I don't care which one you do first, but we have to deal with that. One of them has a square root of 5 in the denominator, and one of them has a square root of 2. So just because it's on the end, I'm going to deal with this one first. You could do with the other one first. It's not going to change anything. What am I going to multiply this by on top and bottom? Okay, so the top is going to be, and bottom is going to be multiplied by the square root of 5. because that will end up getting rid of the radical in the bottom. What does the denominator become? 5, because the square root of 5 times the square root of 5 is the square root of 25, and the square root of 25 is 5. Okay, so sorry. So the square root of 25 is 5, but now on top, what does this all end up becoming when I multiply that together? The square root of 10a. Now I'm going to do the same thing for that second one, except for what am I going to multiply by on the second one? Okay, so the top and bottom are both going to be multiplied by the square root of 2. The bottom is going to become what?
4.
The square root of 4, which becomes?
2.
The square root of 4, which becomes 2. What is the top going to become here? The square root of 10a. And then the last one is just the square root of 10a. And I'm going to put it over 1 because these are a bunch of fractions here. Now, can I combine those fractions? Why not? We need a common denominator. Now, what is a common denominator for 1, 2, and 5? 10. So I need everything to have a 10 in the denominator. Let's go back here. What do I need to multiply the top and bottom by to turn this into a 10 in the denominator? Okay, so I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by 2. And what we're going to get is 2 times the square root of 10a over 10. I'm just working backwards. I don't know why I chose to go that way. This middle one, what am I going to multiply that by on top and bottom? Okay, top and bottom get multiplied by 5. And I'm going to get 5 times the square root of 10a. Remember, inside number times inside numbers, outside numbers times outside numbers over 10. That's why that didn't become like 50a. And then finally, what am I going to multiply this last one by? Top and bottom gets multiplied by 10. And we get 10 times the square root of 10a. Just going to fix my line there. Over 10. Now, can all of these things be added and subtracted now? Yes, because they have the same denominator. So whatever my answer is, it's going to be over 10. Now I've got 10 times 10a minus 5 times 10a plus 2 times the square, I'm saying 10a, I'm sorry. It's the square root of 10a. What does that all end up being? Right, 10 minus 5 is 5, and 5 plus 2 is 7. We have 7 square root of 10a over 10. Now, I don't think that was particularly hard. It was a lot of work, and it was like, oh, there's a lot of steps in that. Yeah, there is a lot of steps in that. So tonight you guys are doing the second half of the homework. You're doing, I think it's 20 through like 38, something like that, the second half. You probably could have finished it last night if you had wanted to, but the second half is today.